guys want?
Board of
water or something?
Selectmen, January 18, 2022.
They're keeping me away from everyone.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why Eleanor Cheryl decided to sit in the back.
I don't blame you. We can make this room a little bit bigger for COVID.
Yeah, open the window.
Can we get some money for COVID and make the building longer?
It's Martha Roy.
Martha Roy.
Martha Roy, she's right on.
Nice to meet you.
Recovering from COVID. Thanks.
So let me make a, so all the non-public meetings back to order.
Yeah,
So
and,
roll, make a motion.
I make a motion to call the non-public meeting back to order. Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor, all roll
Aye.
call. Marconi, Flanagan,
Aye.
Thomas.
Okay, I'd like to close the non-public, seal the minutes indefinitely, make the motion.
That's the motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now we'll go to, the agenda, the 5 o'clock with, Colonel William Davis and his captain.
That's right, he's a good captain.
What's his name for the record? sir?
Bryant Burns.
Okay, thank you.
Walk.
Go on, you wanna hit this off,
You know, truth be known to everybody, Colonel Davis and our friends, and we were talking, and we said that, you know, the National Guard and the town of Newington, should develop some better communications. And he said, well, you know, why don't we do that? And he said he'd be glad to come and speak to the town and find out some concerns the town has and some concerns the Guard might have, but the entirety of the National Guard base, with the exception of the actual tower, the control tower itself, is in the town of Newington. I welcome you to our select board meeting, Colonel and Captain. And we look forward to developing a meaningful relationship. All yours.
Well, thank you for the introduction. So, Captain Burns and I belong to the legislative liaison team. So in addition to our regular duties, I'm the director of staff for the New Hampshire Air Guard. I work primarily in Concord. And Captain Burns is a pilot with the Flying Squadron. And actually, no, not even XP, right?
I work in planes, yes,
So he's in flying operations.
the flight spirit of Newington.
Flying out
You
plane?
can say-
From time to time, I get to
Beautiful.
That-
Yes.
understand.
Next time you fly over the house, wait till it's.
We'll give you a wing rod. That's right.
Well, the Thunderbirds did the last time they were over my head. I was like this. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, all good. So, yeah, I just remembered about the spirit of New Hampshire, that's right. Yep, we have 12 of them. So, we just wanted to introduce ourselves and to open a dialogue.
Great.
And so, we'd be interested in what, questions that you may have of us, which we may or may not be able to answer right now. And then, if you'd be interested in more engagement in the future, like for instance, and right now, because of COVID, we're constrained about a lot of things we can do. But what are ways we could engage with the town, communicate with you effectively, and maybe give you a tour of the base, or in the future, flying on a tanker. Basically here to just open dialogue and hear what you have to say.
I think it's wonderful. We've been trying to do this breakthrough for a long time, and I think it's great that the Air Force Guard, and we're getting together, because when Davis, mutual problem, my big problem is, the spirit of Newington came, the day they brought him in, they took a picture, and they were gonna give me a framed autograph picture of the pilot, who was flying, it was his last
general,
mission.
he was a general.
But we'd like to have this picture of that and put it in our lobby, an autograph by whomever was flying. You know, I don't, you tell me whoever was flying, I don't know the difference, but, we have some nice photos that the fire engineer put together for us, John, but we'd like to have an official Air Force one so that we could display it and show that we're really proud of it, being good neighbors.
I think Selectman Blotting already scolded me on this one.
Before, this has been a 2-year time.
Yeah, that was the only
Right, Martha?
disappointing thing we had on the plane, because we did go, we brought the plane, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Is that all right? That's all?
No, you know what?
We were there when the plane came in, and the general stopped off. He said that he had grown up in his first time there, went to Pease Air Base, was his first indication of the Air Force, and he joined the Air Force in this is his last flight. He flew a plane with the Spirit of Newington on it, which I thought was really impressive. And everybody just hushed right up. It was just a beautiful story. So that's why we asked for a copy, because we like to have it in here, because you are our agent, you are in the town.
And so that was, the picture itself was taken several years ago?
When the plane came in.
So that must have been our first plane or second.
They brought him two or
The
three
first
times,
one.
the first one, not this last summer, it was a couple of years before that.
Okay. We'll take that as homework.
Okay, thank you.
Every once in a while, an update, you know, what our plane is doing. We have a town newsletter, and we like to take, some information from you guys, within operational constraints, that, you know, some of the good things that the Spirit of Newington is doing. If you guys, you know, if it's serving overseas, if you guys can tell us, hey, it's been deployed, it's at such and such a location, it's part of this operation, wherever. That way we can put it in the town newsletter and let the folks in town know exactly what we'd like to take some ownership of that plane and let the people in this town be proud of what our plane's doing.
Excellent.
And General Nicolaitis is a good friend of the selectmen in this town, we've known him since he got in there. And he's a good man, but he was there at the time with us. I remember the day he was there, and he's a nice guy, I like him. But anyway, give you a little history, I've flown out on some of the other planes, did some refueling. We took the adjutant general from Maine. He was a colonel, I think it was named in the Air Force. We flew down, we refueled two of these jets on the way down to Barksdale. We went to Barksdale, and Buck Schuler, I think his name was, head of Air Force, come out to address us when they were gonna give peace back to the state, because I was on the state committee.
Oh, okay.
And that's the day we went to the first Gulf War, and it was a hell of a mess going on down there. Quite a show. But anyway, that's how impressed I was with the whole operation. I've been on a few of the refuelings, and was very impressed. I haven't seen the new ones yet, those are impressive, but maybe an opportunity for the three of us to get a chance. I know Bob's been on the base, I've been on the base for a while since the plane came in.
Right.
And maybe Ted and I might want to do something like that. I'd appreciate something like that. But when I first got elected here 6 years ago, this is my 6th year, I personally went over and talked to the PDA, City of Portsmouth, Town of Greenland. They have a nice open atmosphere, transparency with the community, because we're all one community. We should all work, we may be brothers and disagree, but we should all work together in harmony. And it's proved to do very well for the town here at Ted.
Very good.
Very good for the town, so I'm glad that you are coming to see us now. That really makes me feel wonderful, because I've been wanting to do something with the Air Force, so you are in Newington itself, per se, so thank you again. Thank
We
you.
are,
Ted.
almost entirely, it's,
Right. Any questions for us?
no. Our main question is how can we, engage with you all?
I live in my own neighborhood, unfortunately, here.
Possibly, yeah.
I used to live across from Holiday Inn.
Oh, yeah, that's where I am.
I was there quite a while.
Don't be afraid to tell them, though, you had to clean up the neighborhood quite a bit.
I knew something was coming from this guy over here.
Yeah, I'm not quite done yet, there's a lot of work over there.
Teddy's a little bit older than I am, but I can remember picking blueberries over there before the airbags came in. And when the big ones come in and rattle the windows, oh my God.
Yeah.
But anyway, you've been good neighbors for the town and the state of New Hampshire, and we appreciate you being here, seriously. Thank you, John.
Well, we do, as soon as we can loosen up with the COVID restrictions, we can easily get you on a Facebook.
Absolutely. We understand that totally.
And if you're interested in a mission brief, which is kind of what we're doing there lately, still refueling, but some new things that you may not be familiar with. And also, we do a civic leader flight program, which unfortunately has been postponed due to COVID, but it will come out.
Well, I thought Bob brought up a good idea that if you can give us a little heads up once in a while what one of the planes is doing. We have a newsletter and the townspeople know, because we see you flying, we hear you flying. Be nice to let us know that they did this, and we should be patted on the back. If you do something, we should get patted on the back. If you do something bad, we don't hear about it. Okay? But that would be a great thing, don't you think, Bob?
Mhm.
We also have quite a few alumni, so Dennis Hebert is an alumni from the base.
He's a friend of yours, you sure?
He's a fixture from Keys, and your dump manager, David
Yeah.
Botanic. I know he's not the manager, but he's dump
He's the
manager.
head man down there. No, he's got a title now, he's head
Hero.
boss.
And you've got Elaine Dioro out on Airport Road. She's a former boomer. Anybody else, Dennis?
Was that?
Who else in town was guard?
Elena, do you know?
He got that.
Oh, David O.
He got that.
Yeah.
So we're
I think
around.
that's it.
We have Taylor now, who's
Then
still
me
in
and
front of
Brent.
us.
We have some Air Force people.
Yeah.
And one thing I would like to point out, you may be aware of this already, but, so you have the air guard base, which is closest to you. And then in the middle, PDA, and then in the far end, you have the fixed base operator. And a lot of military aircraft flow through that fixed base operator. And so while we do the predominance of the flying here, the air guard, for the military, there are many transient military aircraft that fly through. They operate on the other end.
Yeah,
And they might be active duty, Air Force Reserves, other service components. Like today I drove by, there were 8 46s on the ramp and a C-130. So a C-130 is probably active duty or reserve, and it's just coming back from Europe, so it stops here for a rest overnight.
Right.
So the crew they probably hit the end of their flying day, so they stop here, they sleep overnight in a hotel, plane gets refueled by the fixed base operator, and then they take off the next day and head home to, Colorado, Texas, wherever they're from.
And we see all the planes coming, including the Russian ones, which scared me a little bit, but other than that,
They're impressive planes.
yeah, they're big ones.
The big ones, yeah.
Well, when we originally were on the committee to do something with P's, I gave the suggestion that be a cargo facility, and it got kind of nixed. But I'm glad to see now in the paper, yesterday I think it was, that there are 2 cargo facilities coming on board, which is good, because we are between Boston, Manchester, and Portland, which is a perfect hub with the rail and everything we got here.
Yep.
But the base has really come along a long way
Oh, it sure has.
since back when you guys basically had to leave, so.
Yep, and we are now, we've grown a lot, we've been doing about $100 million of construction on the guard base, with renovating the hangars, which you've probably seen from the road if you drove by. And
None of it we get to tax, by the way.
Right.
Oh, shoot. I
No
knew
building
there was something wrong with that operation.
And then all we asked was a picture.
Let's start with the reasonable stuff first, yeah, we'll, get that done. Yeah, and they're almost completed, it's been a long project, and they're almost done, so.
Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming, we greatly
Absolutely.
appreciate it, and we know how to get a hold of you, you get a hold of us, so if anything we can do is two-way street.
Yeah, and we'll get back to you about the photo.
Wait a minute, we heard that before now.
Sooner.
I know.
Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
I'd give you a salute, but those days are gone.
Oh, yeah.
Nice seeing you, Jeff.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, good night.
And how to get
Take
out of
care, have a
town
good
now?
night.
I'm gonna rush out.
Okay.
Good seeing you.
Okay. Approval of the minutes of January 10th.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor? Manifest of $552,557.28 dated December 23rd. $97,395.03 dated 12/30. $93,359.97 dated January 6th. $151,866.30 dated 1/13/22. What's your pleasure?
So moved.
second,
Discussion, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, nice meeting with the colonel, the captain. Old business, or new business. Planning boards, meeting of the street.
The board has in their packet a memo from the town planner. A recommendation has come in from the planning board to name the main road of the Shackford subdivision Shipwright Way.
Is there a motion?
I'd make a motion, we approve the naming Shipwright Way. I think it's historic. I think the Shackford family was involved in shipbuilding, and that's why it was recommended. It fits with the nautical theme. The neighborhood is, sticks out into the river, and I'm not sure where the Shackford's original shipyard was, but Newington had a deep history of shipbuilding, and I think it fits with the town.
I'll second it.
Further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Police Department, Police Detail Revenue Fund warrant article recommendation.
Okay, so the board has received from the police department a revenue fund warrant article to essentially save detail funds for purchase of cruisers and equipment. This, in your packet, you have the historical data of the last time. This was proposed to town meeting by the fire department and was voted down by town meeting. The town believed that funds should all remain in their purview so that they could vote as to whether, in this case, a police cruiser or at the time, a fire truck could be purchased, should be purchased.
Just wondered.
I personally don't have an issue with these funds being set up like that. Whether the fire department has one, the police department has one, the money is still gonna have to be approved through the budget committee. And it still, the citizens of Newington still have a voice on how that money gets spent. When they bill out for a detail, they specifically tell the contractor, you're paying X amount for the patrolman, you're paying X amount for the car. The extra money that's in there, like they pay let's say they pay the patrolman $50, but they bill out at $64. So that extra $14 is supposed to be for the life of the cruiser, cruiser maintenance. So if we want to be true to what we're billing out for, then why shouldn't the money go to a revolving fund within the department so that every hour he works, that $14 goes into that fund, and then it certainly would be under Cheryl's purview. None of the dollars would stay at the PD. They would still be in the state and the town's coffers, and Cheryl would be well in charge of them, and the budget committee would be approving any purchases made with those funds. But it would really be, we're billing out and we're saying that extra money on the detail is being spent for these things. Well, now we can back it up and say we definitely do because it's in a revolving fund and that's what it goes for.
Who's in charge of the revolving?
Right.
Where does the selectmen step into this?
The selectmen are listed in the warrant article as agents to expend.
So it comes,
It would come to the board
Yep.
of selectmen.
It's just rather than going into the general fund, it stays in a revolving fund, listed under the police department.
the police department cannot expend that fund without the approval of the selectmen or the budget committee.
Right.
So it's really just
Selectmen.
another,
But it's earmarking the funds for specific reasons, what I think is
Yeah.
what they're leading to, is that road?
Correct.
Similar to what the fire department tried to do a while ago,
Correct.
to turn down the town meeting
turned down by the town meeting.
2 or 3 years ago.
And we also got some history here as well, some people speaking against it.
So,
So I got a problem with it, Mr. Chairman. I don't think we should change the horses while they're running at this point. I think we should keep the control within a separate.
I think I would lean that way also, Michael, but, is there a motion on the floor?
I'd make a motion we approve it, because we do have control over it. You said we lose control over it, we don't. We still have control over it. The monies are still expended through us. So we lose absolutely no control over it. We have full control over it. It's just earmarked for the PD and it's spent on things that are for the PD.
Well, I don't feel comfortable with it, so I'm not gonna second it.
You don't want to second it?
No,
No second to the motion.
so the motion is dead.
Need it? we need another motion to,
That would be great. We need to put something on the end of the warrant article.
right,
Okay, I recommend that we do not support the revenue detail warrant article recommendation.
okay. I'll second it. You get what you want.
I won't vote.
I'll second. Okay. Further
With
discussion?
discussion, yes, this is not a personal comment to the police department or the chief or anybody else, it's just that I feel the funds should stay centrally located with the government. It's responsibility of selectmen. It's been proven in a public forum that that's what they want to do with the fire department. So I want to follow through with the police department and make sure everybody's on the same wavelength there. That's how I feel about it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Yay.
2-1. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Police explosive detention dog, continuation of the fund.
I would request that the board vote to continue the Canine Trust for another year. And of course, we'll be placing this on the town meeting warrant for continuing approval.
That was something that was recommended by our attorney to do it every year because the life expectancy of a dog is not that long. Is that why we did that, do you remember?
Actually, originally, we had this on the town meeting warrant last year, and the Department of Revenue told the town
That's
attorney
what it was.
that it should be taken off.
Okay,
So we
yeah.
took it off, but then the trustees of the trust funds were notified by charitable trust that we should have it on.
Right,
So here we go again.
okay, so let's stick with the, okay, I'll make a recommendation, we fund the canine dog.
Thank
Second,
you.
Second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Vote. Library capital reserve warrant article project, the details and recommendation. You here for that?
I am,
You're up, my friend.
okay. We proposed the $20,000 capital reserve fund. Initially, with the CIP through the planning board, I put in $100,000 to replace the shingles on the roof. The library is now 7-8 years old. Average lifetime of asphalt shingles is what, 15, 20 years? Maybe more, maybe less. So we're about in the middle of that, so in maybe another 7 years, we'll be replacing the shingles. Since that time, I have found out, and we're still working on the details, but we have 5 furnaces and 5 separate air conditioning coils in the library. And apparently the lifetime of those units is, again, that magic 15 years or so. So we are in the middle of that cycle as well. So each unit is probably about $20,000 to replace it. We have not got that number confirmed, nor have we got the lifetime of the units confirmed. So that, there is essentially in 10 years is 200,000. So I will continue to do research on, particularly on the furnaces and the AC units, but the roof is not necessarily showing wear, but, you know, it's getting old.
So preventive maintenance is what you're looking to do here?
Well, no, it will require the replacement of the roof when it fails. And the main library is all asphalt shingled, and the back of the old library is shingled.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, okay, that's a question.
Sure, please.
Are you personally budgeting for any of the wear and tear of this equipment now?
No,
Okay, well, I think maybe we should go back and maybe consider doing that in the future so we can have a plan on how to replace some of the stuff in the future, like we do the other buildings.
well, that's why I've asked for the replacement of the shingles is on the library CIP, And I'm adding the replacement of furnaces also on the CIP. So that's our way of trying to accumulate funds so we can repair it, or not repair it, but replace it, because the airbox goes on the furnaces.
Right.
And then you have to replace the airbox and all the rest of that.
So this basically is just to do the shingles, that's what you're doing?
Well, that was the original intent, and now we've got the furnaces to deal with. So,
You're talking about a 7-year-old building, about $250,000 or better, and replacement.
unfortunately, yes. Now, I don't know why the decision was made to put asphalt shingles when they should have been metal shingles. I don't think we could have afforded slate roof, but we could have afforded maybe metal shingles. But there you are, so. I can't explain, you know, and it may be that the furnaces will last 20, 25 years, and it won't really be an issue.
So if the warrant article is printed, Martha, if I may have a clarification, the warrant article gonna be specific for the roof? Or is it gonna be in an account that's gonna be used for these items he's mentioned, is what they're gonna do?
They proposed the library building capital reserve fund. So
Okay,
it could go for any of these items.
okay, that's what you wanna do.
Yeah.
That's a little clearer, thank you.
Sorry if I confused you.
That's all right.
No, I just,
At my age, you know, it gets to you.
I just think that the original building committee didn't think this out enough
Right.
to put in the purchase long, I mean, we live in New England, and we don't buy furnaces that last 10 years, and we don't buy roofs that last 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, wear and tear and asphalt, I understand all that stuff, but there wasn't a lot of forethought of this, a lot of good project management in the planning this layer.
Yeah, but again, I'm
And
still investigating the furnace issue. I've called Northeast and have yet to get a response. The director has called Northeast and we haven't got a response. But I don't know enough about why there's even 5 furnaces instead of 2 or whatever.
Isn't that big a building?
Well, it's a pretty complicated HVAC system. I went down.
It has to be if you got 5 of them, but I mean.
Yeah, when I spent 2 hours there trying to follow the ductwork, and I got dizzy.
I agree with the chairman, I don't know why the so-called committee didn't investigate it at the time and bring forward the information to us so we could address the situation then put some money aside, because like we do with the other buildings, we put the money aside to fix things.
Yeah, well, it may turn out that this information is not exactly accurate, and we're gonna get 25 years out of you.
Okay.
But still,
Why the
you
last
know,
minute warrant article? I don't understand why it wasn't brought forward before.
because I was there when they came to do maintenances on the furnaces, and I started asking questions.
Oh, now we know, okay.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Peter.
Now, has you been given any thought to having a study done of the library and determine, do we need 5 furnaces, or can we consolidate that down to one big one, or?
Well, after looking at the ductwork, that would be complicated. You would probably spend more in revised ductwork than you're gonna save in eliminating 1 or 2 furnaces. 1 furnace is dedicated pretty much to the old library, and the other 4 are pretty much dedicated to the new section.
Really?
That's my understanding after looking at the drawings and looking what's down in the basement, but that seems to be my conclusion. It's a complicated air makeup system.
It's all duct.
It's all ductwork,
Why didn't they put those kind of units in? It would have been better to put those in.
No, we'd have a long row of those things. And you've got other considerations for air quality in a library.
Yeah, that's true.
So it is what it is, and we'll learn more.
If they ask for us to recommend it, if they maybe put a caveat to it that they would, do a study, I think a study is necessary. I think you're on the right wavelength on this one, I really do.
You should have, from hearing of architect, I don't know where it's at, but it's a long road to get up to bring this to a head, because, you know.
Yeah, well, I wanna get back to, northeast on several counts, because we had a very high, because we have three-phase power in the library. In the spring, apparently, when we turned on the air conditioning units, they might have all come on at the same time. And as a result, for that month, our demand meter went up. Our use of electricity didn't seem to go up so much, but because the demand went up, our electric bill went up. So I wanna get to northeast to see how we can't do either a soft start or a segregated start, so that we don't do that again, if that is indeed what caused the jump, but I don't know what else would have. So,
Okay.
I'm learning more.
Yeah, so your recommendation,
You sound like he's the one-man committee over there to me.
so you want us to support a warrant article for, capital improvements? That way will be worded.
And
Capital
so
improvements, capital
We need an
maintenance.
official vote of the board as to whether or not you will
Yeah, yeah,
support.
okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we do it, but I think there should be a little bit more caveat to it. So I'll make a motion to support this.
I'll second.
Okay, with a caveat of a,
I think that we should, Peter, I think we should be, there should be a committee formulated, not just you, but, you know, be some people there to help to do some kind of formulation of what they can make that building more economical to run like they're asking to do, which I think is smart. You need to go to roofs, you don't need to take care of the units. So it's, I mean, that's just a common sense move for me. I hate to see the money spent, but if you need it, you need it. Okay? So I'll support it, but I hope you put a little more caveat to it. Okay?
We're trying.
I know you are.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. Okay,
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
thank you, Peter. And we have, petition, the playground equipment warrant article is asked for, $25,000. Petition of Jessica Morgan and 25 registered voters, the town of Maryville, town and vote to raise an appropriate sum of $25,000 for purpose of purchasing equipment for the playground behind the old town hall, with the selectmen and agents for these funds. Doesn't say anything about a zip line, that's what they originally came in for.
Right.
Doesn't say anything about the slides, which they neglected to replace the last time. And it doesn't say that it's supported by the rec committee.
Exactly. In review of the last rec committee minutes,
Right.
they don't specifically recommend this $25,000 warrant article.
Then why was it brought forward now when the rec board was handling something like this?
It was
Right.
brought to them, but they did not specifically recommend.
Now, let me ask a basic question here.
Yeah.
Our position is, do we endorse this or we don't endorse it? Because they've got 25 signatures, they can get a warrant article.
It's automatically on.
Automatic, they
Correct.
automatically just goes on. Are we in favor of this or against it? I think that's the bottom line.
No, I mean, by law, they have a right to put the warrant on it.
Yeah, but do we endorse, do we
My
support?
own concern was why wasn't it brought to the rec board to us at the beginning? Now brought in the last minute, I don't like this kind of stuff, but
Well, it was,
I'm
they
not
came
gonna.
in with a zip line, and I'm gonna, this is from memory,
Yeah.
correct me please. Probably last September or October, or maybe a little later. And we got the letter, we sent it back to the petitioner, and asked her to run it through the rec committee and can bring it back, and that all these stuff for equipment should go rather than individual warrants. This is the outcome of it. They went to the rec, they didn't endorse it, so it's back to us. I think it should be a procedure that has to be followed.
And I want to be careful that I don't misspeak about the rec committee, because there was some wording in the motion, Eleanor, you might remember, something like, in theory, we recognize this article, but it was not a clear support of.
But many of the rec committee signed the petition.
And also, yeah, also, if I may, didn't we give some money to Rec Road last year to increase the equipment at the playground up there?
Yes, you certainly did. They got a new,
Yeah, do you guys remember what it was, 20,000, was it?
It
it was
was
for a
2 years ago.
seesaw, they also got new bark mulch.
Yeah, and the rec committee got a great workforce together.
Yeah.
Yes, they did an excellent job, what I'm leading of, it was a great job.
Yards and yards of black house, they moved, and,
The fire department spread.
yes, yes, yes.
And we, at the time, we thanked them for that, we were
Yes,
very appreciative
yes.
of what they did, really.
Okay, so, the water article's going on,
Right.
and we, in the selectmen have to either support it or not.
Right.
I'll make a motion that we support the warrant article.
The second?
I'll second it. But I still
Further
don't
discussion?
I still don't understand why something like this couldn't have been put in the regular rec department's
That's
budget for, yeah, I mean, if they wanted to fix the playground equipment, then budget for it. It goes through the normal budget process, it goes to the budget committee, through us to the budget committee, and then gets approved at town meeting. Why are we doing warrant articles for all the add-on stuff after the fact?
Well, if I may address a little bit from my knowledge, I think what happened was it was refused or wasn't really acted on by the rec board. So the parents got together and put a warrant article and see if the town people would support it. Is that the right idea here?
Well, that's what.
And they have a law, by law, they have a right to do this,
They have a
okay?
right to do it, but we don't have to endorse it.
We don't have to
want us
endorse it,
go
that's
through
correct.
a procedural, process. And
And I agree with you, Ted, I think this should have gone to the rec board, it should even be on my desk here.
that's why I'm gonna vote against, it's one of the warrant, I'm gonna vote against the warrant article because of the procedural process.
And that's why I'm gonna vote against it, the same reason, Bob, okay? Yeah, I don't just want the people to know that I agree, they have the legal right to do this, I understand why they did it, but I don't agree with it, okay?
So you have a motion on the floor to approve the warrant article.
Right.
Okay, so that'll either need to be, the
No
motion
vote.
will be removed or a no vote and then revote.
So all in favor?
Wait. Clarify that again.
You've got a motion on the floor right now to approve, to
Right.
recommend
Right,
the warrant
yeah.
article. And so you either need to,
Vote yes or
all,
no?
you can all vote no,
Right.
you could, or however the vote shall go, and then take a new vote, if you like, or amend it. Someone could withdraw their initial motion, withdraw their second, however you want to proceed.
Let's withdraw my motion.
All right, I'll withdraw my second.
All right. The motion should be that we deny,
We're not supporting
we're
it.
not supporting,
Not recommend.
do not recommend this, and if there's asked for a reason, for procedural.
We'll tell them. I'll make the motion that way, if that's what you want me to.
But they have every right
Oh,
to
absolutely, by law.
to proceed with the warrant
Yeah.
at town meeting.
Right, yes, absolutely,
We have the right, we
absolutely.
also have the right to speak against it because of the fact that we don't feel it was done properly, the way it was done.
Right.
So I'm circumventing the operation here. So I agree with you, Ted, so that's
First
a.
time this year.
I got a record here, so that was my motion to do that.
To not
Okay.
recommend.
Not recommend, excuse me,
Okay.
yes.
Motion made, seconded, any further discussion?
Bob, did you second that second
did.
motion?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Ms. Blanco, what do you got?
That would be it.
Hold on. Carol? Anna, welcome back. We're really missed you, and it's good to see you back at the house.
I I got a question if we can under any business. There was an article in the paper a while back about, the possible brownouts to the area from Walmart and Connecticut, who runs the power grids. We may have some brownouts or blackouts here. Where our plan is running between 3 and 5%, not 100% is spoken, it has to run at the meeting. I think I'd like to write a letter to the governor and council and tell them, I think that this should be looked into or explained a little bit better to the general public. I think this is misleading to the public that we should have brownouts and blackouts because the demand of the power, because we have the power, we're to take care of the power that's here. And I think somebody ought to do that, and I'm only bringing it up for discussion, I don't mean to work on it. But I just want you to think about this, because I think seriously, somewhere along the line, all the information's not getting out there. There are a number of plants that are not running at full board, they have to run by law, 100% they don't at this point. And to scare people that it's gonna be blackouts and brownouts, especially the cold weather we got, I think is not right.
I think it goes back to whatever it is, the woman.
Yes, an energy group.
The energy group down there, they're playing games of politics, they're playing games of power, they're
Yep.
playing games
Yep.
with supply, gas
Right.
and oil and whatever it is. There's a big game being played by the New England regulators,
That's what it is, thank you, sir.
suppliers, whatever you wanna.
So I think I'd like to have you gentlemen, to think about this, maybe next meeting we may bring it forward again and have a letter written. To say that we want the public to realize that we have a power plant over here, we can run a lot better than it is running, and generate plenty of power. Now, if the wind blows the power lines down, we can't do nothing about that. But I mean, it's just to scare the public that it's gonna be blackouts and brownouts because of the demand is foolishness.
Good point. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Anything else, a motion and
To adjourn, so moved, Mr. Chairman.
discussion? All in favor?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
How you doing, John?
Doing good.
Good.
Looking good.
It'd be better if I could get rid of my,
Your friend?
my friend, but,
Your contact contaminant?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes, I'll get it, thank you.
Good job, Cheryl.